Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to be taking a look at the Mystic Expanse and going over what kind of ship it is and what kinds of players would be interested in getting one. And just for the sake of future-proofing this video, I'd like to point out that the Expanse is still in the concept phase of development, which means that this ship isn't flight ready yet, or at least it wasn't at the time this video was made, and its release date is currently unknown. And all the information I'm going to be giving comes from what they've stated in the concept sales page, notes from the developers, and from the Inside Star Citizen episode that features it. So what kind of ship is this? It's a solo pilot refinery that can be used as a remote alternative to having to trek all the way out to a Lagrange point in order to drop off and refine the ore that you've collected. And the addition of this ship is going to help to close off a major gameplay loop and is going to have a number of significant impacts on how the game is played. And I'm going to go into that in more detail later on in this video. So what kind of role does this ship play? The Expanse was specifically built to work in conjunction with other mining ships like the Prospector and the Argo Mole, both of which use uniquely shaped containers that have been dubbed as saddlebags. But it's also going to be compatible with any other UEE standard mining storage pods. The ship's refinery is being described as a fully integrated, self-sufficient system that takes in raw ore, refines it, and deposits the processed material into empty cargo containers that can be easily removed and loaded into a cargo hauler. It has 8 pods that are located on the outside of the ship that can be used to either pull raw ore from or deposit refined material into. The Expanse has been outfitted with 6 independent refineries, which means that it can run up to 6 separate refining operations simultaneously. It has a small habitation section that's going to be able to provide for your character's basic needs, and for defense, the Expanse has 2 size 1 guns. Earlier on, I mentioned that the ship represents some significant changes as to how the mining gameplay mechanics are going to work, so now I'm going to explore that statement in more detail. Previously, if you were flying a Prospector or Mole, the only way you could refine your ore was to head off to one of the Lagrange points and drop it off for processing. Unfortunately, a lot of pirates and marauders tend to hang around these Lagrange points, and will often attack anyone who tries to land there. Another issue with these refineries is that none of them currently have any medium or small hangars, which means that you're going to be forced to land at an exterior pad, and then from the moment you land and until you get inside of the station, your ship is going to be a sitting duck. So if your mining vessel doesn't end up getting caught by pirates as you approach the station, it can still very likely end up getting destroyed by marauders while it's parked outside of it. The Expanse now represents a solution for both of those problems. So instead of having to worry about dealing with all the issues that revolve around visiting a Lagrange point, Expanse owners can partner up with any of the mining ships that are on the server and head off together to a remote location, like for instance the Aeron Halo Belt. And from there, the Expanse could be used as a convenient and safe alternative to having to travel all the way back to one of those stations. The only thing that's going to limit how many prospectors or moles it can provide services for is going to depend on the rate at which its refinery can process ore. And I'm sure that's going to be something that'll be continuously tweaked and worked on, because no matter what that amount of time ends up being, it's most likely going to be altered to better accommodate for the needs of an ever-changing gameplay environment. So who's going to want this ship? I see the Expanse as being a must-have for any mining org regardless of how big or small they are. The convenience factor involved with owning your own mobile refinery is going to be too big of a thing to pass up. I even see this as being one of those 3 ships that individuals who are just beginning to pursue a career in mining would want to own as well. Because if I was going to start down that career path, my first in-game purchase would of course be a solo mining ship, then a cargo hauler so I can transport my goods to a buyer, and then a refinery ship like the Expanse so that I wouldn't be dependent on Lagrange point stations anymore. The Expanse also has one major advantage, and that's when it comes to Quantanium mining. Quantanium is a volatile ore that can detonate if you don't bring it to a refinery quick enough, and I doubt that this is going to be the only type of ore that's going to have this particular type of characteristic. High-risk ore mining is going to yield the most money because of the dangers that are involved with extracting and hauling it, and having an Expanse close by means that you're never going to have to worry about losing a shipment of Quantanium due to time restraints ever again. And if a pirate interdicts you while you're hauling a load of Quantanium, even if they do end up letting you go, you'll most likely have spent so much time dealing with them that you won't have enough left over to still make it to a refinery before your shipment explodes. So once again, it's good to have a ship like the Expanse close by so that you don't have to worry about things like that happening to you. My main question about Quantanium is, if you use the Expanse to refine it, are you going to end up with a container that's full of quantum fuel? Or are you going to have to put it through some other process before it can be properly used as a fuel source? The Odyssey seems to be able to refine Quantanium and then directly dump it into its fuel tanks. So if the Expanse can be used to create and easily distribute quantum fuel, then I can see a whole new series of possibilities opening up for it. It basically just took a giant leap from being a convenient ship for miners to own to being something that's a necessity for any small or medium-sized fleet to have, because at that point it's just become a mini Starfarer. But unlike the Starfarer, the Expanse can distribute containers that could potentially have quantum fuel in it, which could then be stored in a ship's cargo bay and then used to manually refuel it later on. So you could end up using an Expanse to extend out the range of a ship based on how much cargo space they're willing to sacrifice. Also, for the price, the Expanse seems to be very affordable, and I'm hoping that this is going to carry over to its in-game cost as well. Well, that's going to be it for what my first impressions are for the Expanse. I'd like to thank everybody for watching, and take care.